Today we're going to look at one of the most important inventions in human history, writing. But I want to challenge a common assumption right at the start. We tend to imagine that writing was invented so that people could record their thoughts, tell stories, or write down poetry. The historical evidence suggests something far more down-to-earth. When we look at the earliest writing, what we find is overwhelmingly practical and, frankly, rather dull. The first written records are not poems or prayers, they are accounts. Lists of goods. Records of how much grain was stored, how many animals were owned, who owed what to whom. In other words, the original purpose of writing was record-keeping, the management of an economy that had grown too complex to keep track of in one's head. So how did it begin? The evidence points to a gradual development out of much simpler systems. Long before true writing, people in some societies used small clay tokens to keep count of things, one shape for a measure of grain, another for a head of cattle, and so on. Over a long period, these counting tokens, and simple pictures drawn to represent objects, gradually evolved into the first written symbols. So writing grew, step by step, out of drawings and counting devices, not out of a sudden desire to record language. And this leads to a crucial point. This earliest writing was not really a way of writing down speech. It couldn't record a sentence, or a conversation, or a story. It could record that there were, say, 20 measures of grain belonging to a particular person, numbers and goods, but it could not yet capture the full flow of spoken language. It was a system for recording information about things, not for representing what people said. Now, the truly revolutionary step came later, and it changed everything. At some point, people made a remarkable conceptual leap. They began to use written symbols to represent not objects, but the sounds of their language. Instead of a symbol meaning, cow, a symbol could now stand for a particular sound, and sounds can be combined to build up any word at all. This is the principle behind all writing that records speech. Why does this matter so much? Because once symbols represent sounds rather than things, writing can express anything that can be spoken. Suddenly you can write not just 20 measures of grain, but a law, a story, a poem, a love letter, an argument. Writing was freed from the warehouse and the account book, and became capable of capturing the full range of human language and thought. Everything we think of as literature became possible only after that step. So the big lesson I want you to take from today is this: writing did not appear suddenly, as a finished invention, for the purpose of recording ideas. It emerged slowly, out of the very practical need to keep track of goods and debts, and only gradually became the powerful, flexible tool we know today. Like so many human inventions, it was born of necessity, and grew into something far greater than its humble origins.